What's up, guys and gals? It is still the catch-up month of April, and look no further than the fact of the matter is, still got some Shuumatsu no Valkyrie to catch up on. Record of Ragnarok, chapter 98, nearly getting to that big chapter 100. And before we get to round 11, the big new round that is still currently ongoing, we need some more lore time. We need lore time, so let's just get underway with chapter 98, the Four Calamities. So, we already know what these calamities are. The four calamities, of course, being the sacred items that, or these divine ruins items, whatever you want to call them, these sigils, these magical weapons, as it were, that were dropped and thrown out when Odin, Chaos, Satan, and Ymir were cast into the void, right? And they speared that bitch. They Spartacus that spear like bang, and all of a sudden the Odin that we knew, the Odin that we loved, is not actually Odin. Granted, he's almost an extension of Odin's will, shall we call it. Though the translation is a little off, at the beginning of this chapter it says that awakened by the divine ruin of the creator god Odin, the nameless god, thanks to his power. And it says, thanks to his power and wisdom, became the supreme god Odin. So it's a double his. I believe, first off, that makes no sense. Thanks to his power and wisdom. No. What it means is, thanks to the power and wisdom of Odin, through the divine ruin of Sword Graham, this nameless god became the supreme god Odin. So he's very much like him in mannerisms, characteristics, and led by this will. So he even says just two more victories. We see him standing there. Yggdrasil will live once more. So once again, this Graham is controlling him, along with the other four calamities, because he actually has them. We see them, and we were like, where are they? Beelzebub, as I said, Beelzebub did not have the skull. Don't give me that bullshit. So boom, once again, Beelzebub is just a bipolar bitch. And there is no evidence of Satanism in him, because Satan's been locked away long before Beelzebub was alive. Plus, Odin over here, he's got them all. They're all in his chest. There's the rings of chaos, there's the necklace of Ymir, there's the skull of Satan, and he is wielding the sword Graham all within his body inside of this nameless god, now Odin. So, Siegfried and Gold continue their conversation along with Nostradamus, saying, so you're saying that the current Supreme God Odin was actually a nameless god, and now he received his nameless power from the original god, who was one of the four pillars. And it's like, yeah, isn't it? And Nostradamus is like, yeah, kind of crazy, ain't it? And he's like, wait, and that's not just the crazy part. It's like, wait, what are you talking about? There's more? And I'm like, ho, let's get into this one. So Siegfried brings up the fact that he says, thanks to the magical sword Graham of the creator Odin, he was led Chaos's bracelets. They look like rings to me, but they're bracelets. Drapmir, Ymir's necklace, and Satan's Egil, the helmet. All of them are now in his possession. He was led there to the other four treasures of calamity, so he could unlock the seal of Yggdrasil. So just basically, it didn't really matter which one he had grabbed. Had he grabbed, Chaos's alchemic, alchemic? No, that's a wrong word. How do you say that? Alchemic? I forget. Anyways, regardless which one he grabbed, they led him to the other four. So all one poor bastard had to do was stumble upon one, like the Venom symbiote, and all of a sudden, we have Venom and Carnage all through the Spider-Verse, right? So, same idea, right? Just attracted to each other. So he collected all of these, and it was like, alright, we're going to unlock Yggdrasil. Let's go. We're going to unlock this prison set by the last of the other primordial gods. Goes like, wait, that, they want to resurrect Yggdrasil. It's like, well, absolutely, right? Now, Nostradamus brings up the fact that it's not that simple. And he's done so much research over ancient legends and forbidden books, probably similar books even, to the ones that, and once again, if you were one of the survival primordial gods, you would never write this shit down. You would never write down, by the way, there's this crazy sword called Graham. Like, where did the nameless god get this fucking book from? That is my question, But Nostradamus probably has access to all the same things that the nameless god, who is now Odin, did obtain. Gonna have to come up with a short name for that. I guess Pseudo Odin. What's another? What's an easy thing, like, you know, because we have like Tiger Nico and stuff like that. Like I've got to have a different, you know, Fake Odin. All right, we're just gonna for right now we're just gonna call him Fake Odin. So Fake Odin, yeah. So what the same thing that Fake Odin did end up obtaining. You know, I'm sure Nostradamus is also privy to at this point. He went through all these texts. It turns out that the seal is ridiculously strong. Of course, the 4 treasures of calamity alone can't even break it. So to break it, 2 more things are needed. It requires 2 offerings. And he looks forward to it. So he looks at, one is the water of life, and the other one is the primordial vessel. Obviously the one to probably contain said water, right? Like you have a vessel, you know, the spear, the chalice, you know, we're doing Da Vinci Code shit, right? And it's like, alright, so what's this deal? Now, Nostradamus says that the water of life is the life energy of humans. Life and death, obviously. So, not just 1 or 2 human lives. There's a fragment in the poem that reads, when Midgard is destroyed and the well of Erd will be filled with the water of life, and the rumbling of the Yggdrasil will begin anew. Midgard, you mean the human world. So Midgard being the human world, so it's basically the destruction of Earth. So they basically, to summarize it all, the life energy of all current humans living on Earth, the destruction of humanity, hence Ragnarok, currently living on Earth, all of that will pour into as the water of life into the primordial vessel sort of idea. It's like we need the water of life being humanity's life force. We need it all. And so all of humanity will then be sacrificed. And it appears that Fake Odin intended to use this decision made at the Conference for Humanity's Survival for that very purpose. In other words, when Brunhilde stopped the imminent end of humanity at the beginning of the series, which has already been decided by the gods, Odin was really pissed. It wasn't because she defied the gods or provoked them. It was because she stopped one of the 2 seals from fucking unlocking. So he's like, God fucking damn it! You know, so literally, me damn it! Anybody get that one? Anyways, so yeah, this is actually really cool because it ties back all the way to chapter 1. When Brunhilde first pissed off the gods and they voted on this, he was like, okay, I got like all the seals ready to go. Like all I need left is primordial vessel. And I'm good to go. I've got the 4 treasures. I got the 4 calamities. I'm good to go. I'm Fake Odin. Destruction of humanity. Gods hate him. Let's go. So the only reason Brunhilde doesn't give a flying fuck about humanity in all ways, shape, and form. She just doesn't want Siegfried to die because this means the death of her boyfriend. Now, is this a little one-dimensional? Yes. But do I understand it? 100%. I wish that my wife, 12 years together, not together anymore, I wish that she would pull a stunt like that for me. You know what I mean? She wouldn't. But, you know, I like to believe 5 years ago or so, I believe that she would have. You know what I mean? So, gotta give props. Is it one-dimensional? Is it simplistic? Yes, but it makes the most sense of the world for a woman that's truly in love, a man that's truly in love. They would give up everything. They would try any desperate attempt, no matter how slim a chance. They would give it all to save the one they love. It's a classic story, been told since the end of time. You know, and it'll be told long after we're all gone. It's been told before we were born. It'll be told after we're dead. It might seem simple, but it's, excuse me, it's actually very, very sweet. It's very sweet. So, yeah, Brunhilde is doing all this, obviously, for Siegfried. Because intervening in getting the water of life stops Siegfried from becoming the primordial vessel, because that is completely brought up right here, right now, in this chapter. Right? So, they continue on this path. So, let's just go through it correctly, though. So, it says, So Brunhilde interfered with getting the water of life, right? So she absolutely knew that. Siegfried's kind of like, probably, it's like, no, she absolutely knew that. So they talked about, so then what's the primordial vessel? The water of life is the life of all energy, and it's the four treasures of calamity. The vessel will become achieving these two, being able to harness not only all of humanity's life force, but all four calamities within one vessel, one body, right? He'll gain the power to break that seal, and that's what they call the primordial vessel. And the only one, and they even said, like, wait, so does that mean that fake Odin's going to do that? And Nostradamus like, no. The Yggdrasil imbued their own divine ruins into each of the four treasures of calamity. The underworld, heaven, earth, and nothingness. The sword with heaven, necklace with earth, etc. So, for us humans, it's like blood types. There are 4 types of human blood. The gods have as many types as there are gods. It's not normal for one's god's divinity to be compatible with another's. And to think, and they even showcase some of these, ideas as Nostradamus is explaining it throughout the series. And to think that Odin was compatible with the divinity of a primordial god is completely unheard of. Like, that was basically what Nostradamus was trying to say. That was a long shot, and Graham should have ripped him apart. That was luck. That was pure luck. It was a 1 in 1,000, 1 in 100, 1 in a million chance. We don't know. So the fact of the matter is, it was a miracle that happened. So he cannot be a vessel. So they said, that's right. To become a primordial vessel, one must be compatible with not only all 4 divine ruins, he must also be compatible with the water of life, the humanity. Now, he searched. He looked everywhere. Fake Odin finally found, and we see Brunhilde and Siegfried brought before fake Odin, and he saw it, and he immediately knew it. We don't know how he knew it. Maybe his eye. We have no idea how he knew, but he knew. Siegfried, who is not stated to be human or god, by the way. Not stated. Nostradamus nor Siegfried confirms or denies what Siegfried is. Human, god, hybrid, half-breed, we don't know. But, in this context, but is brought before Odin with Brunhilde, and immediately he recognizes, okay, this is the primordial vessel. He can take all the calamities and the water of life. He is the vessel. So this is stated, and then to ensure that no one would interfere with these plans, he took the half-god, half-human, which I guess, okay. So I immediately said we're not confirmed or denied, but yeah, okay, Siegfried is confirmed and denied. Okay, I totally screwed that up. My bad. He is confirmed here. I totally forgot this part when I read the chapter. He is confirmed to be a half-god, half-human in Tartarus as the god of great sins, meaning that Siegfried is a hybrid similar to Brunhilde. He's a demigod, and he is the perfect vessel to house all 5 things. And Siegfried's like, yeah, so I guess it's me. And Goll is obviously terrified of this. So with Ragnarok, humanity will be extinguished, the water of life will fill me up, and I'll become the monster. I'll become the one to break the seal. And Yggdrasil will be able to do their thing once again. So, and this is where Nostradamus continues to say, so for fake Odin, Siegfried here is someone that he must keep alive. He's really, really important. That's sort of why he hired me. He's his secret item sort of idea. I'm responsible for his maintenance, to keep him alive, to keep him in good shape and all that stuff. So, and once this all happens, by the way, they're like, yeah, and it's not a good ending for Siegfried either. So Siegfried, as the vessel, once he destroys the seal to unleash Yggdrasil, Sig's gonna die. So it's like, wait a minute now. Wait, whoa. Sig is going to die for doing this? So it's like, why would he want to do this? Now, obviously, Yggdrasil would resurrect, and once again, you could say the slaughter of the gods would begin anew, and nothing this time would be able to stop them. Because they'd release the 11 most powerful gods, plus the 4 pillars. No one up here would be able to stop them. I still think they're going to be released, and we're going to have the huge war with humanity. Herc will come back. It'll be awesome. But, yeah. So Goll is just completely shocked by all this information. That's not how the story went and stuff. But she goes, I understand why Brunhilde is so, angry. she understands her sister so much more on a deeper level now, and this is really good storytelling. Goal finally gets it. Brunhilde did not confide in her little sister, but now she's been told the burden that her eldest sister is carrying around with her. You know, she was just focused on achieving victory. I mean, it's sort of, once again, it's somewhat selfish. Humanity being saved is a byproduct of her just saving her boyfriend. But is it still noble? I mean, it's not evil. As I said, I would love to think, well, even to this day, I would like to think that my wife, who technically, we're once again still married, there's not even a separation agreement, but I would like to think that were push come to shove, she'd still give me a kidney if I needed it, that kind of shit, you know what I mean? Push came to shove, she wouldn't hit the little red button. Do you know what I mean? Like one of those, you know, Saw-like movies and stuff like that. I like to think that, you know, she would, if given the opportunity, she would try to save my ass, you know what I mean? Regardless of everything between us. So, in the same sense, this is a love that has obviously stood the test of time. Obviously, we don't know how long they were together, but Brunhilde is doing this all for her beloved, and the byproduct of this is the saving of humanity. I mean, as far as noble ambitions go, it's simplistic, and I do kind of, like, once again, I really like this chapter, and I sort of wish I had read 97 and 98 as a whole, because we get both lores combined, and it's really, really nice to see. It's really nice to see the combination of the lore, and get this whole backstory, understand Brunhilde's entire motivation, get who Odin, fake Odin, really is, get the real backstory on the real Odin, figure out that Satan's actually does exist and Beelzebub is just a bitch, you know, all these things, and who Siegfried is and stuff. And then Gull is just weeping. She's just crying for the sake of everyone in the world and Siegfried. She's going this far, and it's just insane. It's insanity. Now, this is where Siegfried even mentions, like, of course, your sister didn't tell you any of this, did she? And it's like, no, I had no idea and stuff. And it's like, well, then why bring me here? Like, why not bring Brunhilde here? Why bring me here at all? And says, you are the last piece. We do not know what this means. As I said, a lot of people have assumed that Gull will be the last Valkyrie. The last Volt standing. You know what I mean? The last... And, you know, as the last Volund, I'm still not convinced she won't be the last one. But, this begs the question, what does Siegfried mean by Gull being the last piece? Brought her here to say that she's the last piece. Are they locking her away with Siegfried for a reason? Is this a plan from Siegfried and Nostradamus' point of view to keep fake Odin from achieving his goal? Is this to trap him? Is this to, like, once again, is she still a hostage? There's so many questions, realistically, to have here. Now, we jump away from Tartarus for the rest of the chapter. We see Brunhilde waiting here with Loki, saying that Brunhilde actually acts all coy. Coy with Loki. Saying we want to meet alone and stuff, and said, did you change your mind? And we know that Loki is sort of somewhat obsessed. Well, we know he's he's crazy. He's like that doll manga that's really, really creepy with the horror elements, and ends up there's a bunch of really dark tones, but that really creepy one about the dolls and only being attracted to dolls and shit, very, very creepy. We know this all about Loki and stuff, right? So he gets this all in his mind about, like, oh, you want to talk and stuff, and you want to agree and stuff, and it's like, well. So Brunhilde says, Lord Loki, and this is total manipulation. We know Loki knows what Brunhilde is doing. We know what Brunhilde is doing, but he falls. He says, well, she says, could you please fight in the next match? Gets on her knees, begs him, He's like, so, all this just to save Siegfried. So once again, he knows why she's doing it. She knows why she's doing it. And she says, I must win the next match at all costs. Saying, I need you to fight because I'm going to set up somebody that you're going to lose to. Saying, I must win the fight at all costs. Meaning, I need you to fight next. And it's just like, wait, what? And then Loki's like, you want to kill me? It's like, for the next round, I'll choose a warrior who can defeat you. That's why I want you to fight. So, this is incredibly interesting from so many perspectives. And as I said, these last two chapters, last chapter and this chapter, this is where I missed doing the streams, month to month about these chapters. Because there is so much panel by panel and dialogue by dialogue bubble to talk about. And now I have to sort of streamline it because this is already going to go like over 30 minutes, But I just personally am sitting back here and going, Loki and Brunhilde. So Brunhilde knows she's playing him. Loki knows Brunhilde's playing her. And Brunhilde knows that Loki knows that she's playing him. They're planning around the plans that they are planning and around our plans. It's literally the Helsinger Bridge Majors hit. You know what I mean? We're going to plan around the plans that they are planning around our plans. They all know what they're doing. But yet, they're still going to both follow through with it. So, Loki agrees to go next. And says, fine, I'll fight. And then acts as though, I was already decided to be the next fighter. So this has nothing, everything you just did had no decision making whatsoever. He's trying to play it cool. Obviously, it did not work. And says, so, don't bow your head to me. All right, I'm leaving. And then Brunhilde realizes, so there is a level here. Once again, Loki. Okay, so once again, they both know this. Loki's trying to save face. Brunhilde sees through him trying to save face. So once again, even though they were planning around each other's plans, they both know they're playing each other. They both know the manipulation game is going on. They accept that they're manipulating each other. They call each other out on manipulating each other, but they never drop their axe whatsoever. And then they double down on this. Loki doubles down and even says, like, well, I was just teasing anyway. Forget about it. I was already going to fight anyway. So, see you in the winner's circle sort of idea. Brunhilde realizes that this was all a lie and proceeds to say thank you. So, we know Loki's going to die. Now, he goes in the creepy room with the creepy doll and just absolutely rips the place to shreds. And it's just, it's pretty awful. And then he just, Loki is that dangerous point where you have passion and obsession when it comes to love. Once again, because people, when you're in love with someone and they're in love with you, obsession is not really an issue. You could argue that it is, but I would like to say that light level of obsession, like you're obsessed with your wife, is not a bad thing. If you said you're obsessed with your children, you're obsessed with your wife, nobody's going to bat an eye. You know what I mean? When Ryan Reynolds goes on Twitter and says he's obsessed with his children's happiness, no one says that's creepy. No one says that's possessive. No one says that's negative. Obsession is only a problem. It's the same line as passion when it's flipped on the same coin. You know what I mean? So this is the issue. Passion and obsession come from a place of love. However, when that love is unrequited, that's when it becomes negative. That's when it becomes problematic. That's when it becomes bad. Do you get what I'm saying? Nobody would argue that you should be passionate and obsessive and completely devoted to the love of your life or your children. or family. But if you're forcing that on someone, there's just one key line that makes all the difference between those words being positive and romantic, between being negative and you need therapy. Loki, unfortunately, is on this side of that spectrum, unfortunately. If Brunhilde loved him back, none of this would be an issue. But, of course, we know that he's gone crazy, because look at how crazy he is and building the doll of Brunhilde and all that stuff. So, absolutely nuts. Anubis thinks that it's his turn to fight, so once again, this is how we know that Loki was lying through his teeth about, no, I was already selected to be in the next fighter, don't worry about it, because Anubis absolutely wanted to go next. Zeus even says is that without anybody's permission, Loki entered the arena. So, this is where Brunhilde selects Simon, the White Death. And he arrives with the 12th of the Valkyries, completely unawares, and with the dog, the White Death, Simon Hayaha. I probably butchering that name, but once again, the sniper, the greatest sniper in the world. We got his character design years ago, literally years ago. Finally here to protect the fatherland. Let's go. Sniper versus Loki. I always thought it would be Okita. We set it up in the anime, we set it up in the manga, that Soji would fight Loki. Obviously that did not happen, and now we're going to have Simon here versus Loki. And please don't hurt the dog. For the love of God, I don't care who wins at this point, as long as that fucking dog is okay. Once again, most people are similar to me, right? We care more about animal death than we do people. Like a dozen people can get beheaded in this manga. We're all going to go like, oh shit, that was gruesome. One little puppy gets kicked and we're all crying. I'm just saying, that is the weird mental state of compassionate human beings. We care more about the cat and the dog than a dozen of our own kind. We're not really that great. I don't know if that's good or bad. What does that prove? What does that show? Anyways, so that's the end of the chapter. I know that was a long one. Sorry about that. Actually, we only reached 29 minutes. Okay. Alright, so we didn't break. I thought I'd been rambling on for a while. Well, half an hour is a while. But anyways, 98, I could have talked for another 20 minutes about this. As I said, last chapter and this chapter were stream-worthy chapters where I could have gone on for over an hour. Especially talking with all of you in the stream chat. So, definitely looking forward to continuing the streams once we get caught up. So, chapter 98, The Four Calamities. Great chapter. The start of round 11. I assume that we'll be able to, now that I assume the lore chapters are done, 99, 100, we'll be able to be quicker reviews. And we'll be able to get all caught up for when 101, I think, 101 is out, but 102 is yet to be out. So I'm hoping to get caught up before 102 drops, or close enough to the fact that I can still justify just doing a stream rather than a review. So I'm hoping for that. And once again, the round chapters are easier to sort of review and get through. So less length and timestamps, that kind of idea. Once again, just really loving all the lore. Loving the backstory. Love how it all connects back. It's making Brunhilde's entire character throughout this all 98 chapters so far make sense completely. Siegfried makes sense. Goal makes sense. Brunhilde makes sense. Fake Odin makes sense. They all make sense now. Everything's adding up. Except for Mr. I murder people in my sleep Beelzebub blaming Satan when Satan obviously had nothing to do with it because he was locked the fuck up. And the one with the skull was fake Odin. So, yeah. Sorry, Beelzebub still fucking sucks. Just saying. Anyways, that's the end of the chapter review. Have a good one, everyone. Hope you guys are having I don't know when I'm releasing this, but good weekend, good week, whenever this comes out. anyways, I've been recording as much as I can every single day. So sometimes the schedule when I record versus when it's released is sometimes today or 3 days from now. Who knows? Trying not to overload the channel, but at the same time trying to get as much done in April as possible before burnout sets in. We're trying to avoid that this time. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the review. Like, comment, and subscribe as always. And we'll see all of you back here for chapter 99 of Shuumatsu no Valkyrie, also known as Record of Ragnarok. Looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. Sayonara.